I'd like to get the panel's comments on the various platforms of communication. So not what the message is, but like where the message is. I mean, there's a good variety on the panel, right? We can go from YouTube, blogs, TV, and books, right? So like it seems like of all of them, it'd be the internet where it might be the toughest. People can make shit up on the internet a lot easier than the other platforms of communication. So maybe that's the toughest out of them all. And because you have to wade through all that crap to get your message out there, it's maybe not the most effective platform. So whichever, the most effective and the toughest, Thanks.
I'm very pleased with the YouTube atheist community. There's a great deal of talent out there. There are people that are producing very well-researched videos with a lot of good content. And whenever anyone gets anything wrong, and I'm sorry to say I know this from experience, when you make an error in having an argument with a theist, whether you're talking about science or what have you, there's a very good chance that if you make an error, they won't catch it because they don't understand what you're talking about anyway. But your own side will. Scientists are, by and large, unforgiving of error. They will point it out. And so you do have a community where people actually do care that the information that they get out there is accurate. And they try to make sure that it is accurate before they press send to upload that. I mean, there are people for whom accountability really does matter and that they feel that they're making a contribution. And by the number of subscriptions that they get, a lot of these people are making contribution. I was lucky in that I got in early in the wave of YouTube atheists because there was a lot of very talented and very brilliant people out there. If you name a topic, I'll show you an expert who's posting on the web. Really an excellent resource. And the advantage that we have in YouTube is that we are going up, especially in Texas, we have more mega churches in Dallas than I think any other city. And a mega church is a church with like 4,000 seats or more. We have churches where we had people like Olstein who had to buy a stadium so that he could fit the 50,000 head-bobbing, mouth-breathing, glassy-eyed wanna-believers. And they just eat up whatever he says because it's all emotional. There's nothing that's defined. There's nothing that's factual. It's all an emotional thing. And then they hand over all that tithing. So he's making tens of millions of dollars a day. We're doing this altruistically for free. We're posting YouTube videos. We're not making anything out of this. This is for the benefit and the betterment of mankind. And I'm very happy to say there's a whole lot of people that feel the same way that I do. They're making videos in that mode.
Absolutely.
I definitely agree, and I want to throw my voice in as well to bolster the internet as the medium of choice. I don't know if any of you would be familiar with it, but Susan Jacoby wrote a book called The Age of American Unreason, in which she talks about how in America's past there was this really great culture of people coming together in public places to watch lectures they disagreed with, and we've lost that. And I think that the internet is one good hope for getting that back. We get a chance to reach out to people who don't already believe what we're saying. The cost to them is low. It's usually free. They can stumble across our YouTube videos very easily. People find my podcast on on iTunes all the time, very easily. We're at the top of the rankings for science, so they click on it, and now they're all atheists, haha. So there is a problem with people seeking out things that they already agree with, but there are certain places on the internet that actually facilitate a more interesting exchange of knowledge. So it's tough, it's difficult to wade through the YouTube comments and things like that, but it's really worth it, and I encourage anybody out there with some guts and a webcam to do it, because it can be a lot of fun, and you can actually reach out to people in an effective way.
Last speaker, or last question.
Hi, if I could before you...
Staying on the... Sorry. Yeah,
if I could. Coming from the old print world, we have a chance in the print world to be a little bit more reserved in maybe not reserved, but we have a little more time in order to put things together as opposed to the internet, which can be very quick and on the spot, which is excellent. You can't get more timely than the internet or breaking into television and saying something happened, like planes going into buildings. But with print, you get the time to edit, to polish, to make your word and your thoughts that much clearer to the point that on-the-spot internet coverage doesn't necessarily provide. At the same time, we are now turning the magazine into an e-zine, available online as well as in print, which kind of tells you how things are going.
I too am very enthusiastic about the internet as a medium, and I think particularly might be important for reaching benighted areas of the world which are perhaps forbidden or unable to get hold of books which can be read in our part of the world. And so I think one of the great hopes of freeing the Islamic world from the yoke of Islam might well be the internet. The other possible hope there would be, as Johann Hari said, somehow to empower women in Islamic lands, which he regards as the key. Turning to books, which I suppose is my role in this panel of four, I think it's sort of similar to what Tom has just said, that books, since they are published by publishers who have a reputation to uphold, since they are reviewed in newspapers and magazines, there is a sort of quality control which there isn't in the internet. In the internet, we all have to be our own quality controller. We learn which particular websites we like, and we have to wade through an enormous amount of sheer rubbish before we can find it. You can't get a book published by a reputable publisher if it's obvious rubbish. It has to go through a certain vetting process. Books do get examined and become a part of the culture generally if they're successful. They get reviewed, they become talked about, they become a part of the currency of dinner party conversations in a way, as do television programs, by the way, in a way that internet websites only sometimes do. The best known ones can achieve that as well.
Just one more question. Sorry.
Thank you. Staying on the topic of the internet, the YouTube user Thunderfoot has organized the Draw Muhammad Day for 2 years now, and I think this is quite widely accepted and considered a successful thing. But then he went a bit further with this hard drive full of copies of the Quran. I don't know if the panel is familiar with that. He's basically stuffed a hard drive full of Qurans, and then he's burned that hard drive with the idea that these digital files are being deleted anyway as internet caches are being purged. So burning the hard drive physically is not going that much further. But this act seems to have polarized the online community quite a bit, and he's taken quite a lot of heat for that. So I'm curious about what the panel thinks about that. Thank you.
As a co-host of the Magic Sandwich Show, on which Thunderfoot regularly appears, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he's a YouTube science advocate who got in just ahead of me and has probably 3 times the subscribers that I do. And it was almost inevitable, I guess, that his name would come up here. I owe the man a great deal, and I have a great deal of respect for him. I cannot say that I agree with every one of his actions, and not necessarily in the motivation. I understand his motivation, I do. But some of his tactics I don't entirely agree with, and I wouldn't fully endorse. Some, however, the initial Draw Muhammad Day that was done a year ago, I was fully behind that. I drew my Muhammad right along with 10,000 other people. Mine, however, came out looking an awful lot like Bob Dobbs. But I don't advocate burning books, in any sense. I understand that it's only a symbolic thing, and I understand the jest of what he's doing when it's all it is data digitally entered into it, and it's meaningless. And so burning it is showing how meaningless that is. I understand what he's doing with that. I don't like that he's gotten the flack that he gets out of this, because when you talk to the man directly, it turns out he's not as insane as some people want to say he is. He maybe doesn't present his argument very eloquently the first time. But then when you talk to him, oh, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. I understand it from your perspective. Now, why didn't you say it that way then? And that's all I can say on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I pretty much agree with you. I participated in the first Draw Muhammad Day as well. Mine was just a very respectful stick figure. And it was interesting to see what people did do with Draw Muhammad Day because, of course some people did go really over the top and drew, pedophilia-related stuff. And to me, though, I think the more powerful images are the respectful ones because a violent reaction to something like that proves your point much better than when you draw something purposefully hateful and to incite violence, and then violence happens. Having a peaceful message that then gets attacked, I think, is a much better example of what we're fighting against. When it comes to, I haven't seen Thunderfoot's recent thing with the, as described though, I have to agree, when you're burning something, when you're burning a book, even when it's on a hard drive, you're doing that because you want to capture the message that we all understand book burning carries, and that's a message of censorship, and it's not a message that I agree with. But that's just my gut reaction. Maybe if I saw it, it would be closer to performance art and making us think about the meaning behind words. It doesn't really sound like that, but maybe it is. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
I think a parallel case is PZ's desecration of a communion wafer, because that really is pure ridicule. That is saying this is just a cracker. And you are, of course, hurting people's feelings, but they deserve to have their feelings hurt because it is just a cracker. It's their fantasy, and it's not book burning.
Must not forget the satanic verses and how that was really burned, actually burned, not burned.
Yes. Yes, but in the case of the satanic verses, there were some disgraceful examples of intellectuals, certainly in Britain. I think of Hugh Trevor Roper, the historian, and various other people who actually condemned Salman Rushdie and said that he deserved what he got because he refused to take seriously what, as Michael Dummett, the philosopher, said, refused to take seriously what other men find sacred. And that was a disgraceful betrayal by senior intellectuals in Britain of one of their number.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank Richard, Rebecca, Tom, and Aaron. It was really, really good. Thank you very much.